everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little emoji pillow. It has the two heart eyes and the cute little mouth. Now we did this video a couple of years ago and I got a request in a couple of weeks ago to update this video to our new style. And so that's what we're going to do today. It's super cute, super easy, and I'm going to give you two different yarn options so it will make it a little bit easier if you have some yellow already in your yarn stash. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our cute little emoji pillow, you're of course going to need some yarn. This original pattern was made with a chunky number 5 yellow yarn, and it worked out great and I loved it, but a lot of people ask, do I have to use the chunky yarn? And the answer is no. You can use 2 strands of medium weight number 4 yarn if you want to. And you don't have to use acrylic. You can also make this out of cotton, as long as your cotton is either a chunky number 5 or 2 strands of medium number 4. I'm going to be using just basic Red Heart Super Saver in this bright yellow color. It's a little bit lighter than the original, and that's okay. You're going to need about 3 ounces of the Red Heart Super Saver or the chunky. And the reason is because we're doubling up the yarn here, so we're using twice as much, even though it's a small project. I'm also going to be using this red for the eyes because I'm going to be doubling that up as well, and the same with the black. If you're going to use all chunky yarns, you'll need to use a chunky red and a chunky black. If you're using all 2 strands of medium weight number 4, you'll just use your regular medium 4 red, medium 4 black, and your yellow. All right, so we're going to use a 9mm crochet hook. That's an N, and I know there's some different sizing in the ends, but we're going to be using the 9.00mm crochet hook. You'll need a needle that has a nice big eye in it, and then you'll need your scissors. And then the last thing you're going to need is some stuffing. And I'm just using your regular old polyester fiber fill, whoops, stuffing. I also have a video on how to make a little pillow form that you can slide inside here if you'd rather make the pillow form instead of just using stuffing. And I'll put that link down in the notes under the video as well. And it's with our bunny pattern. So when it comes up bunny, just scan to the end of the pattern or the end of the video, and it will show you how to make a little pillow form if you'd rather go that route. I'm going to be using 2 strands of this medium weight Red Heart Super Saver. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pulling 1 strand from the end and 1 strand from the outside of my skein. You can roll it into 2 balls if you want to, or you can do it this way. And if you happen to have 2 skeins or cakes or whatever you're using on hand, you can just use 1 strand of each. I'm going to be pulling off 1 skein like that, and so I'm just going to do 1 off the outside and 1 off the inside. We're going to hold our 2 strands of yarn together. We'll make our slip knot, and I want you to leave just a little bit of a tail because we're going to need that to close the hole up in the center of our pillow, because the way we're doing it will probably, not always, but it probably will leave a little hole. So I want you to leave about 6 or 8 inches at the beginning so we can use that to close that hole up. All right, so let's make our slip knot. We're going to begin by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to place 9 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. These first 3 will count as our first double crochet. So yarn over, we'll go in the 4th, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. I'm going to stitch 8 more double crochets in this same chain, so I'll have a total of 10 double crochets. All right, let's see how many I've got. Here's my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now I have 10 double crochets because remember we counted our chain 3 as our first. We're going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so there is our row 1. And I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and turn over my circle, thread that onto my needle, and I'm going to go ahead and close up that hole. Then I don't have to worry about it later. There we go. And so the way we do that is we just take our needle and go through those stitches, working all the way around. And we'll gently, let me move my hook out of the way there. And we'll just gently pull on that. And then that hole will close right up in the middle. And then once our hole closed, I go up a stitch and I just go back the way that I came to weave that in and make sure that is not going to come out. All right, pull on it nice and snugly and clip that string. So now we've done our first row, which is 10 double crochets. We've closed the hole in the center and we've chained 3. For row 2, we're simply going to place 2 double crochets in each of those 10. Our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll put 1 double crochet in that same stitch. And then we'll go to the next double crochet and we'll stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And then we'll repeat that, working all the way around. 2 double crochets in each of our 10 double crochets from row 1. So our chain 3 counted as our first, so we stitched 1 double crochet in that same stitch, and then 2 double crochets in each stitch around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3. I've stitched 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now, row 1, 10 double crochets, row 2, 20 double crochets. And for row 3, we're basically going to do the same thing we did in row 2. We're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the stitches around. Our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we'll place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. Now, if you're having a little trouble keeping your yarn together, something that I do as I'm going along is I pull like this, not hard, just gently, to make sure that one yarn isn't drooping or crossing or knotting, and that helps as I go to just gently pull it like this. Now, if you're doing this in chunky yarn, you won't have this issue. All right, so I'm placing 2 double crochets in each of those 20 double crochets around. We'll continue this all the way around, and again we'll join back to the top of our chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet. I've completed row 3, stitching 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. So now I have 40 double crochets. I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and again chain 3. Now this is our last row. It only has 4 rows. Alright, so again our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our double crochet. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 2 double crochets. And so the repeat for row 3 is 1 double crochet in the next 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next 1 and 2. Now at this point, if you're noticing that your circle is a little bit ripply, don't worry. This row here will flatten everything out, so you'll have a nice flat circle for your pillow. So we're stitching 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and 2 stitches or 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Looks like I got a string there. Let's do that over. There we go. It happens when you're holding 2 strands together. Alright, so we're going to repeat 1 double crochet in the next 2 and 2 double crochets in the next, repeating all the way around and join back to that first chain 3. I've completed row 3, stitching 1 double crochet in the next 2 and 2 double crochets in the next. We're going to join to the top of the chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3 this time. Now you're going to need 2 circles, of course, because you're going to need a front and a back. Alright, so we made our first circle and we tied off because we're finished, of course, with the first circle. When you finish the second circle and you do your slip stitch, we're not going to cut and tie off. We're going to leave that attached because then we're going to put the 2 together and single crochet them together. But we're not going to do that just yet. I'm going to show you how to make the hearts for the eyes and add the face on before we put the 2 circles together and stuff it into a pillow. I already have 1 heart sewn on, and I'm going to show you how to make the other one because we're doing 2 hearts for the eyes, and it is really a really simple heart, and you can use this heart applique for lots of other things as well. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and again I want you to leave a good 6 to 8 inches tail so that we can make sure the center of that heart is closed nicely. We'll begin with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to be stitching all of our stitches for this heart in this 3rd chain from the hook. We're going to begin with 3 triple crochets. So we'll do 2 wraps. We'll go in that 3rd chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over and go through the 3rd 2. That's 1 triple, and we need to do 2 more. 2 wraps, and here's our 3rd triple. It's a little hard to see, but that's our first heart bump. Now we're going to stitch in this same chain 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to chain 1, and I think you can now see the first side of our heart. Now we're going to stitch 1 triple, and this is the point of our heart that's at the bottom. Now we'll stitch a chain 1. And now we'll do the other side of our heart. Let me move that out of the way there. And we're going to be doing what we did here in reverse. We'll do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to stitch 3 triples. And you will notice that that hole in the center of our heart is getting bigger and bigger. That's okay. That's why we started with our long chain, or I'm sorry, our long tail at the beginning so that we could close that up. All right, let's pull that out straight. I need to do 1 more triple. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3 doubles, 2 triples. I need to do 1 more triple. And then I'm going to chain 2. 1 and 2. All right, I'm going to slip stitch in this hole. Pull up a loop, pull that loop through the loop on my hook. And we'll snug that down a little bit. And then I'm going to cut my yarn and tie off, but I'm going to leave myself a good amount of yarn, about 12 to 18 inches, so I can sew that onto my pillow front. All right, there we go. We'll pull that. And now we have that hole we need to take care of. So we'll move that out of the way. We'll turn our heart over and grab our needle. Thread the beginning tail on our needle. And we're going to go right around those stitches the same way we did at the beginning of our pillow circles. We'll just go right around there. There we go. We'll gently pull that in. And I'm going to go around again. I want to make sure that the hole on my heart is closed nicely. All right. Nice and tight. And I'm just going the other way just to make sure. And then back the other way. And then I'll just clip that off. And now it's ready to go on to the front of our pillow. And so here's the front one that I've done. I got one eye on there, and I'm going to put the other eye right there. So I'll thread this onto my needle. And it might be a little too much yarn, but I would rather have too much than run out and have to add more on. All right, so I want to make sure I want it to be lined up with the circle in the middle and with the edge, and I want to make sure I don't stitch on this edge because those loops there are where we're going to sew the pillow together. All right, and so the first thing I do is I just go right down in the center of that heart, and I like to do that because it kind of pulls it in and makes sure that the heart has a nice shape in the middle. And then I come up, and I'm just going to go around the stitches on, on the edge of my heart, making sure I'm careful not to get too close to the edge, checking to make sure I'm staying even with the other one. And you'll notice I go up and then I go back. And then sometimes, I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can see. I'll go up, I'll go in the next loop set. There we go. And then I'll go back. And it just, to me, helps it stay on better. Because I know, I don't know about you, but I know my grandkids will probably be playing with these all over the place, like that other one that is well loved and well used. I think they have the most fun just throwing them at each other and playing around the room with them. All right, so I'm just going to continue to go around and make sure that heart edge isn't too high over there. because I want it near the edge, but not so that it blocks those stitches where I'm going to sew it together. And you can continue sewing, using up all your yarn if you want to, until you're happy that that is going to stay put when it's played with, whether you're going to set it up on the counter just to look at or whatever. Alright, then I did my last stitch going back that way. There's my two eyes. I'm going to turn this over and just weave this in. And it doesn't have to be all pretty on the back because it's the inside of the pillow. So now our little emoji just needs a smile. So I've got 2 strands of black, and again, if you're using a chunky black, you just need 1. And I probably have more yarn on here than I need. But what we're going to do is we're going to follow this line right here. This is the line in between row 2 and row 3. But if you want your smile to be farther out, you can certainly do it on this line. I just really like doing it right here. I think it makes it look cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up in between a stitch there and a stitch here, and that's going to make the little flat part of my smile. Alright, then I'm going to come up underneath, push that up just a little. I'm going to make sure that stitch is in there. And then I'm just going to follow this line around. And I'll do that just by going in and out. When you're using 2 strands, make sure they're laying nicely. Then I'll go back and then go to the next. We'll just gently move around this edge, I should say this line, making a nice smile. I just give them just a little pull, not too tight because you don't want it to pucker up on you. You don't want to smile puckered, okay? Alrighty. There we go. Just working my way around here. I'm going to look, make sure it's even. Looks like I need to go just a little higher. Alright, and then I'm going to make that little smile end just like that. Now, if you don't want it way up here, you can always put it down here. It doesn't matter where you put your smile. And also, if you don't want 2 hearts, you can make one a wink eye. It's totally up to you how you do your emoji. I'm going to take a few minutes and weave these ends in, and then I'll show you how to sew the front onto the back and stuff it. Now remember, you needed to make 2 circles, one for the front and one for the back. And what we're going to do with our outsides facing out, this is our front and this is our back. We're going to put them together, and you'll notice when I put my hearts and my face on, I did it up here so that the bottom of my pillow where I want to stuff it will be down here. Alright, so I'm going to take this and turn it this way. Make sure my hook's in here right. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to place a single crochet in each of the stitches going across in order to sew it shut. Alright, so we'll put our hook through here and our hook through here and stitch a single crochet. And we'll do this all the way around, but we'll leave ourselves a little bit of an opening over here to stuff it. Make sure that you line up your stitches and you're going through the front and the back and stitching your single crochets in order to sew our pillow closed. One single crochet in each stitch around, stitching the front to the back and leaving an opening over here about 5 or 6 inches so we can put our stuffing in, but don't tie off because then we'll have to finish closing up our pillow. I've single crocheted all the way around, leaving a little bit of opening here so I can put some stuffing in, and you'll notice I just have a handful of stuffing. One of the reasons sometimes that your stuffing shows through is because you're adding too much. And so what I do is I just grab a little bit and I'll push it up in the top and another little bit and push it over to the side and make sure it has the right shape, because I really would rather my stuffing not show through. All right, so there's just a little bit of stuffing, not much, just enough to make it a fun pillow. And then I'm going to turn it around and finish single crocheting those edges closed. Oops. Get in there. Now I do want to remind you that whether you're doing 2 strands of worsted weight or medium weight number 4 yarn like I am, or you're doing the chunky number 5, the pillow is all stitched exactly the same. There isn't any differences. Now sometimes if you use 2 strands of medium weight, you might get a little bit bigger of a pillow, but it's just a tiny bit and it's really not even an issue. All right, so here is where I started. I'm going to slip stitch in that first single crochet and I'm going to tie off. I'm going to go in the next one and pull that loop to the back and tie that off. And then I'll just take my needle and weave that end in and I'll be all done. I'll just go back and forth till I'm happy, and then I'll just go down in that stuffing and pull it through and cut. So here are the 2 little emoji pillows. This one's made with chunky yarn. This one's made with the 2 strands of medium weight Red Heart Super Saver. And I'm going to have to say, I really like the results of how this one looks better. Although this one's been much loved and squished on and pulled on. But they're both a lot of fun, and you can see they come out, this one's just a wee bit bigger, not much, and they come out to be about 10 to 11 inches across. And they're super fun for everyone.